John Boehner, member of the U.S. House of Representatives from Ohio. John Boehner, Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, the third man in line for the presidency. He's retiring, abandoning his post. And I promised my wife that I would not break out into the song from The Wizard of Oz when the Wicked Witch. All right, I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance, and you're not going to want to miss 1 minute of this show.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
If you are a regular viewer of this program, you know that I am a very outspoken opponent of John Boehner. And I'll say right up front, I am very, very glad that he is resigning from the speakership. And I will do my very best to show proper respect in the political debate that is happening. So the first thing we're going to do is very simple. Let's make a list of his accomplishments since he became Speaker of the House in his efforts to stop the Obama agenda and stop the machinery of the Democratic Party that has been literally crushing our liberties, not to mention the Iran deal, funding Planned Parenthood, Obamacare. So let's make the list of things where he has helped. Put the list up, please. Billy Bob. Put up the list. Alrighty then. I'm sorry. We don't have anything to put up. Okay. I want to use this as a teaching moment and make some predictions, okay? But part of this teaching moment has to be the issue of ethics, leadership, and why we have different branches of government, okay? For example, did you know constitutionally that it's part of the law of the land in the Constitution itself that all spending bills must originate in the House of Representatives? Did you know that? If money is going to be spent, the president doesn't have the authority, the Senate doesn't have the authority. A spending bill must originate in the House. It has to start there. And the reason that the framers did this was because they knew that the House of Representatives, which they come up for election every 2 years, it was the quickest way that the people could get to the scoundrels who misappropriated money or spent it in a way that they didn't like. Okay? We have not had a budget under John Boehner's speakership. Not one. Okay? Part of this blame is to President Obama as well. But they just keep doing continuing resolutions. Take it, yeah, like it was before. And one time, the Senate created a spending bill, and Boehner didn't say, no, stop, you don't have the authority to do this. It was an illegal act. It was unconstitutional. So the anger that many people who are devout Christians feel about Boehner is because Boehner said he would stop Obamacare. The easy way to stop it is don't fund it. Don't fund it. But he did. He said yes. Don't fund Planned Parenthood. Just stop it. Don't fund it. He caved in and he said yes. He kept saying yes. Now, I have to be careful how I say this. I ask the Lord for wisdom. Let me use my computer. Stall for time here. Saying yes. There is a passage in the Bible. Let me read this passage from the Holy Bible to you, okay? This is in the book of Ezekiel and in the book of Jeremiah. There's the theme. And by the way, if you've got small children in the room, you might want to have them go out. This is a very family-friendly program. Sometimes we have to discuss things that are big people topics. They're in the scriptures. We're going to talk about them. Okay? In the scriptures, in Jeremiah chapter 2, Jeremiah chapter 3, Ezekiel chapter 16, Ezekiel chapter 33, look them up for yourselves. There's this theme of Israel or Judah playing the harlot, turning their backs on God and committing harlotry. I'm going to read one of these passages. How lovesick is your heart, says the Lord God, seeing you did all these things, the deeds of a brazen harlot. building your vaulted chamber at the head of every street and making your lofty place in every square. You were not like a harlot because you scorned hire. You didn't take money. He said, you were different from other women in your harlotries. None solicited you to play the harlot, and you gave hire, while no hire was given to you. Therefore, you're different. In verse 33, it says, men give gifts to all harlots, but you gave your gifts to all your lovers, bribing them to come to you from every side for your harlotries. Wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God, because your shame was laid bare and your nakedness uncovered in your harlotries with your lovers, and because of all your idols, and because of the blood of your children that you gave to them. See that phrase? The blood of your children that you gave to them. And then he goes on to say that he's going to judge them. Now, the theme of this in both Jeremiah and Ezekiel, the blood of your children, is talking about child sacrifice, the murder of babies, okay? And one of the harlotries in this country that is a crime against God and man is the murder of babies by abortion and the funding of Planned Parenthood, a criminal syndicate that is covering up the crimes of sexual crimes against young girls, okay? There's young girls that are trapped in horrific lifestyles that are involving criminal acts. Planned Parenthood sees them, gives them birth control or aborts their babies, and doesn't report it to the authorities, okay? A 14-year-old pregnant girl, a 15-year-old pregnant girl, a 15-year-old pregnant girl with a sexually transmitted disease, she is a walking crime scene. There's been a crime committed against her. And what happens needs to be reported to the police. Planned Parenthood doesn't do it. And so that's where this scripture has bearing. The blood of children, the blood of babies being murdered by abortion. In those days, they offered them to idols. John Boehner has been a part of refunding Planned Parenthood. Even though spending bills begin in the House, even though he had the authority to say, no, we're not doing it, he kept caving in. He kept saying yes. I'm going to take a break. And we come back, I'm going to look at who might replace him, and I'm going to look at this concept that he kept saying yes. All right? Don't go away. I'm Randall Terry. You're watching Voice of Resistance. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas referred to John Locke twice in his dissent in the Obergefell decision. John Locke is referred to as the philosopher of American liberty. He was a genius, and he not only believed in natural law, but he believed in revealed law, the Word of God, the law of God. And he is one of the two most influential philosophers on the founders of this republic. We are offering you this book, and I'm going to give you my book as well, The Sword. The Sword, the subtitle is The Blessing of Righteous Government and the Overthrow of Tyrants. It looks at what is the legitimate purpose of government and when is it our right to overthrow government like they did with the Declaration of Independence. We will send you these two books if you simply pay for the shipping and handling, $8, and then give whatever else you want. And by the way, the $8 doesn't cover our cost, but if that's all you can afford, we'll send them to you for the $8. God bless you. Welcome back, friend. If you just joined us, my name is Randall Terry, and this is Voice of Resistance. We're talking about the breaking news that John Boehner is retiring from the House of Representatives, and he's giving up his seat as the Speaker of the House. Very, very powerful position in America. You've got the President, the Vice President, and then the Speaker of the House. Should a plane crash occur and the President and the Vice President were both killed, God forbid, the Speaker of the House becomes the President of the United States automatically. So it's a big deal. I want to continue with this theme, and again, if you've got small children in the room, I will be very discreet. But we read before the break a passage from Ezekiel 16 talking about harlotry. Harlotry is spiritual infidelity. All right, that's what God is talking about here. And I'll be very discreet with this joke, but most of us have heard the joke, and you can insert more descriptive words if you want. You've heard this joke, the man and the woman sitting next to each other on the airplane. So they're total strangers, and the man says to the woman, excuse me, would you be involved with a man, being very discreet here, would you be involved with a man for $1 million? If you didn't know him, for $1 million. And she thought, and she said, yes. And he paused, and he said, would you be involved with me for $100? And she was outraged. She said, how dare you? What kind of woman do you think I am? And he said, well, you already told me what kind of woman you are. We're just negotiating the price. She said, yes, she would do it. I want to read to you a quote from Charlie Dent. He is a Republican House member from Pennsylvania. He said, and all right, let me give you a little quick background. Boehner, in part, was pushed out by dozens of conservative members that have had it with his treachery, okay? As the Speaker of the House, he controls what things come up for a vote. He controls a lot of what bills even come into various committees and subcommittees. And he has shut down true opposition to Obama. Shut down the ability to really stop Obamacare, stop the funding of Planned Parenthood. There's things he could have done to stop the Iranian deal from going forward. His speakership has been a disaster, and it's part of why people like Donald Trump and Ben Carson and Carly Fiorina and Ted Cruz are doing so well, because they're viewed as outsiders, and Republican faithful voters, conservative Christian voters, have had it with Speaker Boehner and had it with the leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell. We've had it, all right? He knows it. He's listening day after day while Rush Limbaugh says that he's a failure and Sean Hannity says that he's a coward. These guys are big guns and they're going after Boehner. And there's this group in the House that are saying, we're taking him out. We're going to force a special vote to take him out of the speakership. And he just said, I've had enough. I'm done. So this has the establishment Republicans panicked. I'll read a quote later on from, in fact, let's read it right now. Let's put the John McCain quote up there. And any of you who know my feelings about John McCain know that he's part of the problem. Here's what McCain said. Senator John McCain of Arizona said that he was taken aback and that Mr. Boehner's resignation had perilous implications for Republican prospects going into next year's elections. Quote, it means that it's in disarray, Mr. McCain said in a brief interview. Basically, he has been unseated, and that's not good for the Republican Party. He said, his advice, we've got to unite and recognize who the adversary is. Ah, but Mr. McCain, you missed it. You didn't get the memo. We did unite. Boehner was the adversary. You're the adversary. You are the treacherous ones who say one thing with your mouths and then do another thing with your actions. You're the ones funding Planned Parenthood. You're the ones who caved into Obamacare. You're the ones who cut the deal to give this Iranian nuclear deal the free hand. You are the problem. They did unite. And oh wait, there's one other thing. They're in disarray. It's horrible, perilous implications for the Republican prospects going into next year's elections. Oh no, here's where you're wrong. No, you're so wrong. It's perilous implications for treacherous, unprincipled, harlotry-driven people like you. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I want to read that quote from the Republican from Pennsylvania who said, you've got to say yes. You've got to say yes. You know, like the woman on the plane. Would you be involved with somebody you didn't know for $1 million? Why, yes. Yes, I would. How would you like your name or the name of somebody that you love to be listed as a producer of our upcoming series, What Would Mohammed Do? If you are in a position to give a $1,000 gift, we have to buy some computer gear and some 4K monitors that cost about $12,000. One computer and 2 monitors, $12,000, because they're broadcast quality. This is not a Hewlett-Packard laptop, okay? If you can be one of those 12 people who give $1,000 or more, we will list you as a producer in the series, What Would Mohammed Do? Or if you want to do it in memory of a loved one, we will do that as well. Please, go to the GoFundMe site you see, watch the pilot, and if you say, I want to be a part of that, give a $1,000 gift, and we will put you or the person you choose as a producer of this TV series. I thank you in advance. God bless you. One of the purposes, one of the unique things that I bring to television broadcasting when it comes to the news is that I try and look at the news and analyze it distinctly through a Judeo-Christian grid, through the teachings of the scriptures, through the teachings of the church, what the church has always held. And when we got the news that John Boehner resigned, I was elated. I actually had to just try and calm myself. I had to calm myself. Because we still might get another treacherous person in there. This is far from over. Just because Benedict Arnold is captured doesn't mean that there's not more traitors in the camp, because there are, okay? Traitors to principle, all right? And remember, I read to you those passages from Ezekiel, told you the story of the woman saying yes. So here's what Charlie Dent said, the Republican from Pennsylvania. He's really upset because he knows the role that the Tea Party House members have, just like John McCain knew it. McCain hates the Tea Party people. He probably hates them more than Obama hates them. Obama recognizes that the Tea Party people have a use to him because it keeps division in the Republican Party. People like Boehner and McCain and McConnell just want us to shut up and let them do what they want. And oh, look, it's government of the people, by the people, for the people. And no, we won't. We won't shut up. We want you to go. And there goes Mr. Boehner. So here's Mr. Dent, Republican Charlie Dent. This is what he said. Now listen closely. There are anywhere from 2 to 4 dozen members who don't have an affirmative sense of governance. Ooh, that's highbrow. They can't get to yes. They just can't get to yes. Would you be involved with someone who you didn't know for $1 million? They just can't get to yes. And so they undermine the ability of the speaker to lead. And not only do they undermine the ability of the speaker to lead, but they undermine the entire Republican conference and also help to weaken the institution of Congress itself. Oh, wait, we're undermining the Republican conference. So what you're telling me, Mr. What's his name, Dent, may he continue in obscurity, is that you put the Republican Party ahead of principle, ahead of liberty, ahead of life itself. You'll cave in to Planned Parenthood. You'll cave into Obama. You'll say yes, because that's what did he call it? You have an affirmative sense of governance. It sounds to me like highfalutin words to vindicate treachery, to vindicate cowardice. You know that phrase, wisdom is the better part of valor. You ever heard that one? Here's my sneaking suspicion. I think, remember this, young man, I've got an audience here today. I think that the person who came up with the phrase, wisdom is the better part of valor, probably was scared spitless and was looking for a clever way to justify his retreat from battle. That's what I think. So anyway, Mr. Dent says, they just can't get to yes. Now, here's what he said. Now, if we have a new speaker, is there going to be an epiphany? Oh, we get it. We have to say yes. They won't be happy if it's Paul Ryan or Kevin McCarthy, who will have to make accommodations with a Democratic president and the Senate constituted the way it is. Oh, that's what this is about. I'm going to talk about who might replace Boehner in our next segment. One of them could be Kevin McCarthy. And like Mr. Boehner did, we've got to make accommodations for the president. And we've got to make accommodations for the Senate. We've got to learn to say yes. Yes. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're gonna run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. In Romans chapter 1, one of the condemnations that Paul gives as he is delineating the collapse of morals, he says that they worship and serve the creature more than the Creator. And that's part of what we have here. The problem with Boehner and others, I mean, I'm happy that Boehner got to see the Pope and he cried. And, you know, I believe he's a Christian, but he hasn't gone to bat for his faith. He's worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator. So we've got guys like McCain and this other guy Dent who are saying, well, we've got the institution of Congress and we've got to honor the institution. You worship and serve the creature, the created thing, Congress, more than the Creator, the God who made heaven and earth and has given you his laws. That's the problem. That's the problem. Who might replace him? There's so many names being bantered around. Fortune magazine already has 3 names up. Kevin McCarthy. Now, he's the safe pick, and he's the one who Dent referred to because he's an establishment guy. All right? Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan's a good man. He is a fighter. He wants to use strong-arm tactics against the Obama administration. He wants to defund Planned Parenthood. And Tom Price, he's a guy from Georgia. He's another man who wants to defund Planned Parenthood. He's a member of the Tea Party caucus. Let me tell you how this is going to play out, okay? Immediately, you're going to have a public fight, and it's going to be the establishment voices criticizing the Tea Party guys. And the Tea Party guys are like Louis Gohmert from Texas. You're going to see him a lot. You're going to hear him on Sean Hannity. And they're going to be talking about principle. These guys are going to be talking about principle, principle, principle. And the establishment guys are going to be talking about unity. We don't want to be in disarray. We don't want to help the Democrats. They're the ones that are going, me, and they just still don't get it. They don't get Donald Trump and Ben Carson. They don't get that the infrastructure of the Republican Party is collapsing because of their treachery to policy, their treachery to principle. They put unity ahead of truth, all right? And the Tea Party people are saying, no, we put truth ahead of unity. We put liberty and life ahead of unity. And we're not going to help President Obama. And yeah, we're ready to try and shut down the government. We're not going to give money to people who kill babies and are selling body parts. What about this is hard to understand? And we'll put the onus of a government shutdown, not on us, on Obama and the Democrats, who are so determined to fund this godless organization, Planned Parenthood, that they'll shut the whole government down. Let that argument be framed, okay? So I'm just about out of time. I hope you have a great weekend. If the Republican establishment can't get the votes it needs from Tea Party representatives, they're going to have to go to the Democrats for votes. And if that happens, they will lose all credibility. That's the problem. The Knesset, if you look at the Israeli government, many times the various parties, there's 3 main parties, and one party doesn't have enough votes to control the government, so they form what's called a coalition government. And they say, okay, even though this third party doesn't hold many seats, we'll give you an important part in the government if you'll form a coalition government with us and we get Benjamin Netanyahu. So our system doesn't work like their system, but the Republican machinery, if they can't get this renegade group to go with a party guy, they're going to be tempted to go with the Democrats, to get Nancy Pelosi and say, look, work with us. If they do that, they'll lose all credibility. So they can't do that. Some of them might say that they'll try, but it'll be a disaster for them if they do. My encouragement to the Tea Party guys, hang in there. You can be the minority that controls what the whole party and the whole apparatus does if you just hang in there. Give us a good speaker.